Comic books and anime are a media I enjoyed very much, but there's also some big things that get in the way of me enjoying those media as much as video games. If I had to say what has been an influence from those genres, I'd say the bright characters, larger than life personalities, the character driven plot, how everything revolves around the interesting characters and what they're going to do next, the big battles and powers and what these incredible things that people can do. The comic book heroes and anime characters are very similar in very many ways, but there is a distinct difference between what makes an anime character and what makes a comic book character. In Japanese anime, it just looks so cool. But I love the grounded nature of comic book superheroes. They're still people, you know. They're still everyday people. There's a personality behind the mask, behind the persona, behind the hero. And what I've tried to do is this combination of Japanese anime style, but done in a Western way. You know, what if someone tried to make a combination of comic book / anime in one? That's kind of what I've tried to go for with Raging Destiny. So it allows me to be inspired by some of their greatest selling points of these two media, but also get rid of some of the tropes or the detractions that stop me from enjoying those medias as well, and sort of leave those out and kind of like, you know, sieve them out of this cake mixture that I'm trying to create. Don't know where this analogy is going, I'm going to move on. But for example, comic books, I find the biggest problem with getting into a comic book is the episodic nature of the comic book. They want you to buy the next episode, or next issue, sorry. They want you to buy more comics. So whenever I've tried to get into comic books as much as I have video games, it's always, where do you start? You know, well, start at episode 1. Yeah, but episode 1 in a comic book is not really episode 1. There's always some history to it. There's some things you need to know, or things you've missed, or things it will relate back to. So that can be a wall. You know, you want to know everything about these characters, and you have to buy all these books or know where to get the information from. It's not always clear. So as much as I love comic books, it's difficult to sort of digest that media, because it's like, where do I start? Where do I come into it? And then when you add the dynamic of there being so many superheroes and each of them have got their own comic, it's quite overwhelming. And what I've tried to do with Raging Destiny is take that excitement of the comic book world and condense it into one book. So if you buy that book, that's all you need, and you can just buy one. You don't need to buy the rest if you don't want to. But if you buy one book, it's a self-contained story, and you will get all the enjoyment that you would in an entire series of comic books. That goes with like cartoons as well, Saturday morning cartoons. I was very fortunate to grow up with a lot of these amazing characters that people have designed and created as a child growing up. And anime, I think some of the coolest characters and abilities that you can find in this world is from the world of anime. You know, the ninjas, the sci-fi elements, the horror elements, all of it is just on another level, because they aim a lot of what they do at an older audience, so it's written for that audience. But the problem I have with anime is that, again, sometimes things aren't written with an ending. The original concept is kind of, because it comes from the pages of manga a lot of times, or inspired by manga, the writer hasn't often finished it yet. So when you get to you give all this time to anime, hundreds and hundreds of episodes, and it goes on and on and on and on, and sometimes there's not a clear ending in sight, and sometimes even worse, you're not rewarded with a good ending for the time that you've put into the world of anime. And there's also filler, you know, where the world of anime has to wait for the writer to come up with new material, or for a new manga to be released, or they need to finish a season. So by process of the way it's made, they will drag out episodes and situations to make it longer. But look, ultimately it's the ending. Is look, when you've watched 100, 200, sometimes, you know, the 500-600 episodes of an anime in 20 to half an hour stints, and then you go right to the end and it ends on a cliffhanger and there isn't another season, or the ending is just kind of chucked in there. That's what I wanted to make sure I avoided with Raging Destiny, that it wasn't going to be something that just keeps asking you to put more time and effort into it, that you can buy this one product and it's a standalone product, and that will be your enjoyment. You can read just one book and you get enough for your money, but you still get all that kick-ass action and adventure that you'd get from that media without this huge commitment to that you have to put in sometimes to enjoy anime.